Hi, everybody. I'm Martina Ruiz, and the book that I chose to read this week for the Coretta Scott King Award winner was Thank You, Amu by Oga Mora, and also illustrated by Oga Mora. And the book is about a woman named Amu, which is the Igbo word for queen. And she lives at the top of this tall apartment building, and she's making a red stew in her apartment. And the smell of the stew is wafting out of the window of the apartment, and people in the community can smell the stew. And one by one, they start coming to her door. First, a little boy knocks on the door, and he says he smelled this delicious stew, and so she shares some of the stew with him. And then a hot dog vendor comes, and she shares some stew, and a lawyer and a baker and a dancer, and all of these members of the community come, and they just smell this wonderful stew. And so she shares the stew with them. And then that evening, when she sits down to eat her stew for dinner, she realizes that it's all gone because she shared it with the community. And so there's a knock on her door, and those same members of the community that she had shared the stew with came to share some of their food, some salad and some turkey and some things like that. So it's a really good book. I really enjoyed reading it. It has a really good central theme about community and sharing with people in your community and what can happen when you do that and what can come from that. So I think it's a really great book to share with students, especially if you're talking about community and community enrichment. I think this would be a really great book to share. I just wanted to share with you some of my favorite illustrations by Ogamura. This is, I actually had it digitally downloaded the book, so I don't have an actual paper book, but this was one of my favorite images. If I don't know if you can see, the pot of stew is she does a collage with also some marker and some paints to illustrate, and the stew is illustrated with this really pretty floral pattern, and it just made me think of that whatever was in this stew must have been really great, and so I thought it was interesting that she used like this really pretty floral pattern to illustrate the red stew. In this illustration, you can see the stew is wafting out of her window into the community, and there's a knock at the door. The little boy down here, he smells the stew and he knocks on the door. And then this was my favorite image from the book. It's at the end of the book when the community comes together to share with Omu, and you can see the little boy and the baker and the hot dog vendor and the construction worker all come together to share their food with Omu, to thank her for sharing her delicious red stew with them. So it's a great book. I highly recommend, especially for like a kindergarten, first, second grade class. I think it would be a really great book to share about community and what can come from community building. It's Thank You, Omu by Ogamura.